Hi ho, hi ho, hi
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. Zach and I had
Happy New Year.
Yeah, we had a little New Year adventure. We went to a really kind of low-key Comic-Con, and then which is the Valley Comic-Con. And then we decided to check out a place called Horror Vibes Coffee, which I don't drink coffee, but I was along for the ride because they had tea-based drinks, and the place is kind of cool, right, Zach?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's right in the heart of NoHo. I got a Frankenstein latte, an iced Frankenstein latte. It's like a pistachio flavored latte, and it's good stuff. They have some really fantastic murals. So shout out to the artists over there, and just the whole staff. Really friendly, accommodating. They had some awesome like horror candles, like Sam from Trick or Treat and Jason, and they're like in the shapes of those characters, and it was just really cool vibe. Definitely want to go back there, so check them out on Instagram, Horror Vibes Coffee. If you're in the area, definitely give them a visit. It's a good time.
Yeah, I got a Crystal Lake. Yeah, it was pretty delicious. It was a chai with apple cider also mixed with it. Really good.
I know they're about to launch their like spring drinks, and one of them's like a Bride of Frankenstein like matcha drink with like chocolate drizzle and stuff, and so that's gonna happen soon. So if you want those seasonal ones, well, they're probably gone by the time this episode will come out. I think they end the 13th, but they have brand new seasonal drinks coming out that I'm sure are just as good. So go over there and check out their stuff.
Meanwhile, in Arkansas,
We started our new year that way, but we gotta end last year the right way, and that's by giving our top 5 favorite movies. And plus, we have a special category where you, the listeners, contributed your favorite movies as well. So we've got a packed episode today. Yes.
I'm going to open a coffee shop where the theme is my top 5 favorite horror movies of 2022. And that way the coffee shop will be forever dated and very specific.
I don't think anyone want to drink my choices.
Right. There's a coffee shop in Little Rock that we wanted to check out because apparently it was a Star Wars themed coffee shop. So I was thinking like the Cantina bar that's in Hollywood, something along those lines. It's essentially a coffee shop with like Star Wars decorations they got at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Harry
impressive.
Potter one that I've been to. Yeah, they just had some lightning bolts painted on shit.
I know, Chris. You can call it the Cozy Criterion.
Ooh, or the Film Brew. That's the one.
That's good.
Down in my notes.
That's good. You've had that prepared.
Oh yeah, that's the one I have written in my notes.
That hasn't been used, huh? That's a good one. The Film Brew.
Not that I know of.
You gotta copyright that, man.
Yeah,
you gotta get on that.
Somebody did get the Brood, but they spelled it BREWED.
Oh yeah, there's the Brood.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
a
good.
One.
This is reminding me of someone posted on Twitter the Butthole Surfers alternate band names, and they are the greatest band names I've ever heard in my life.
So I don't know what Ad Asner did to them, but I'm glad they got their revenge.
Yeah, apparently that was their gimmick of just they would always change their band name, and then I guess they had a hit, so they had to stick with like the Butthole Surfers. But like one of their alternate band names was the Unalienable Right to Eat Fred Astaire's asshole.
Yeah. Great bands.
Yeah. Right for everyone.
Great bands.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Let's get this show on the road. Woo!
Welcome to another Mishable podcast, Horror Decomposed. My name is Zach. With me today, the Criterion one, Kris Pistol. How you
Hello.
The employed one.
Oh, yes. Full time now.
And, of course, the Professor, Professor Casey.
I want to clarify that all of us are employed.
This is true.
Yes.
So great. It's great to be employed. Maybe this year I'll actually be able to afford a 4K TV.
Yes, Kris.
Yes. Join the revolution, Kris. For better or worse.
Gosh, I gotta say, if there was an award for best 4K release, I might have to give it to Return of the Living Dead, but we don't have one, so that's fine.
Ooh.
We're waiting on Kris to get his. Then we'll do best 4K release next year.
I could just imagine what they're like.
This is one of my favorite shows that we do on the podcast. I mean, end of year shows are always fun, and 2022 was a fantastic year for the horror genre. We've certainly been saying that a lot in recent years, but looking back, this was the toughest list for me to put together. My top 5 honestly were pretty interchangeable as far as placement. Like, I really like any of the films in my top 5. I could have like switched for another and gone, yeah, that makes sense. I ended up with an order, and we'll talk about that order and all of our top 5s. But like, man, it was such a varied year. I had so many films to catch up on in the last month, and I did not see nearly as many as I wanted to. But so many kind of releases just flew under the radar, and that's the tough thing with the podcast when you're trying to cover new releases and do retrospective stuff. And we'll get into kind of the future of the show maybe towards the end of the episode today, but. It's hard to cover everything. We do our best, and that's why, like, at the end of the year, I'm always playing catch up. There were so many things that I just didn't get around to seeing.
There's no way this is really his favorite episode to do. He tortures himself way too much. Kris and I are both like, we're done watching shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get to watch nearly enough other things outside of the horror genre, and even like older horror releases, because I'm always trying to play catch up and watch newer stuff. And honestly, I just like going outside and taking breaks. And as much as I love movies, I like fresh air. So like, I can't do it.
Fresh air, bad, Zach.
Yeah, I look at between my job and other hobbies that if I get to like 104 movies a year, that's 2 movies a week. I feel like I did all right.
Well, I don't know what my letterbox count was for how many I logged.
I think mine was 118.
I mean, yeah,
422.
Holy shit!
Jesus Christ, Kris.
Kris doesn't like fresh air.
Now I did.
It was cold there.
Okay, now to be fair, I did discover 2 things. One, I went to South by Southwest and saw a lot of short films, so that peppered it a little bit. 2, I discovered that you can log Looney Tunes shorts on Letterboxd. And I had myself in the middle of last summer. I had myself like a Looney Tunes marathon. And
Oh my
logged
God,
like a
I
bunch
need
of
to
them.
boost my count.
So it's probably more along the lines of like 390.
You also log like all of your rewatches, and I honestly rarely do that because I just don't feel like taking the time to log a rewatch and write a little blurb. I just don't.
Sometimes I well, one, I want to remember when the last time I rewatched a movie was, and another thing is sometimes I rewatch something that I haven't logged yet because I haven't watched it since I got Letterboxd. So,
and sometimes those relogs are an opportunity to change the rating if you've changed your mind a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
Sometimes I feel different. Sometimes I feel different about Barton Fink.
Sometimes I'll log a rewatch. I just don't do it often. I try to think about something. I try to write a witty review. Lately I like to just do shorter, like wittier things with the amount of movies I've been logging. But you know, I just can't always think of something interesting to say.
You don't have to put anything. You can leave it blank. I usually do.
I don't like
or
to.
You can just write something funny, something like short and quippy.
Yeah,
just write
Which is what I like
penis
to do.
and then send, and see how many likes you get for that.
Halloween H2O hit different after the Gordon Green trilogy, so I think I had a different rating for it this past year.
That's true. No, like if it's something I haven't watched in a while, and honestly, a lot of the things I've seen I haven't even logged once on Letterboxd because I just didn't take the time to like, oh, I'm gonna log everything that I've already watched before, and I just don't have that time. Yeah, Letterboxd is cool, people. Join Letterboxd.
It's what I do besides playing video games. or in the place of playing video games.
I was gonna say you don't play video games, Chris.
Exactly.
I
In the
do
place of
both.
playing video games, I'm just on
I was
Letterboxd.
playing video games right before we started recording.
Casey's playing video games right now.
Oh no, I can't. I can't. I swear far too much. I would get our podcast banned. Especially these motherfuckers in this Marvel game. My God. This was an interesting year though. Because going into it, there were 3 or 4 movies I really anticipated that I ended up fucking hating.
Oh,
Yeah.
which ones?
Okay, Morbius, which I knew was gonna suck,
Oh, okay.
but still. Halloween Ends, and my best friend's Exorcism. So I guess it was 3. And
Man, Halloween Ends is my number 1, dude.
I know.
Liar.
No, it was really we got new entries into long established horror franchises, reboots, Texas Chainsaw and Hellraiser, sequels, Halloween Ends. We got more of a TV wise, we got more of the Child's Play reboot series. We got I'm watching the 2nd season of Alice in Borderland, which is fantastic. Highly recommend that show. There's so many different avenues and different things that popped up. Cabinet of Curiosities, anthologies. There was so much to take in and absorb, and from every facet. And so it was very overwhelming, and it's great. I love seeing that much coming to the horror world, and I love especially all the independent releases we got. And it's time to show some love, because I do want to say, last episode, it's rare that we're all down on a movie, especially an independent release. That is not what we like to do here. We really like to raise up and promote independent film and independent cinema. And I just want to say, if there's something you really want to see and we're not super stoked on it, please, by all means, always check out the film. Always support independent filmmakers.
We're just a few assholes, man.
Yeah. I really appreciate if you respect our opinion and you value our opinion. That is awesome. But still, if it's a movie you want to see, please check it out. Watch it. Give it your attention. Because your opinion may very well be different than ours. So support all independent cinema if you can. And yeah. So without further ado, let's get into another Bishop Podcast's best horror releases of 2022. Okay,
Leave that
who's
in.
starting off?
All right, so we're going to start with shout-outs a little bit. I just have one.
Oh, you want to start off with shout-outs?
Yeah, let's just do that. I
No, because that's going to spoil
Oh,
the
okay.
picks.
Well, I'm going to start
Yeah,
with one
yeah.
anyway, because it's one that no one's going to put on one of their lists. And I just want to give a special shout out to The Quarry for being an awesome interactive horror movie experience.
Okay.
And that was one of the highlights of early 2022. And I just wanted to say, if you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't played it yet, check it out. It's pretty good.
Video game,
If
yeah.
you like horror movies, you'll love it. And it's violent as fuck, dude. It crosses some lines. So you'll probably like it for that reason too. The Gorehound
You have
listeners.
not seen Terrifier 2.
Yeah, but for a video game, there's a shot of a head that explodes from a shotgun. That's some pretty top shelf stuff. You know, we're always enthusiasts of head explosions on this show.
That happens in Terrifier 2 as well.
Nice. Good times. That is actually Zach's number 1 movie. I'm going to spoil it right now.
I will say Terrifier 2, it's not my thing, but I think it's so wonderful that a small independent release like that did so well at the box office and has garnered like a cult following. It's not exactly my scene as far as a horror movie. It's very gratuitous and extremely over the top, but I very much applaud the filmmakers, the cast and crew for putting that together, and good on them, man. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Obviously it has an audience, and I do think it's better than the sequel, so better than the original. And I think the lead actress, I'm forgetting her name, but she's fantastic. So that is Lauren Lavera. So yeah, check it out if you're really into just excessive over the top gore. Do not watch it on a date.
Watch it first date.
Unless she's into that kind of thing.
Yeah, you never know.
If she recommends it, well,
Just see what happens.
Yeah. Like, let's just let's get to the picks.
I have some friends who are probably definitely really into that sort of thing.
If you guys don't mind, I'll start.
Army of nightmares, huh? Let's get this party started.
Yeah, mine isn't an independent pick for this one, but the actual majority of my list is. But this one was a mainstream release, and the reason it's on my list, even though there were other things I rated just as high, is that I saw it have a lasting effect on a lot of people I deal with in my day-to-day life. A lot of people were really freaked out about this movie. And while I wasn't, and you can argue that it's kind of derivative of Asian horror movies or the remakes of those Asian horror movies, in that, or maybe even just It Follows. I have to say that I think that this year's Smile was something special because it wrecked the shit out of a lot of people. And I think that that should be a criteria, at least for me. I enjoyed the movie, but I also enjoyed discussing it with people that were pretty freaked out about it. So it was a fun time. And I saw it in a crowded theater, and people were losing their goddamn minds in that theater, which was just so fun. So yeah, Smile is my pick for number 5.
It's a really good pick.
All right. So do either of you guys have it on your list somewhere?
I do.
Okay. Nice. All right.
I'll have more to say about it when I get to that pick.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. It's one of those ones where I'm like, okay, so you liked that movie. Here's some stuff you can watch and get familiar with where it got the ideas from. And I love being able to do that with people, especially people younger than me. So it's all good.
It's one of those films that could have easily been awful, and the fact that it was so well executed and for what it is, and well, put together, and just one of the big surprises of the year for me that movie was as good as it was. So yeah, really, really enjoyed Smile. I'll have more to say about it when I get to it on my list. But Kris,
I missed Smile.
you missed Smile?
Oh,
Yeah, I missed it. I didn't get to see
That
it.
was one of my favorite theater watches this year, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. The trailer just really kind of put me off. I was willing to give it a chance, though, but we just didn't get around to it.
well, the trailer's garbage compared to the actual film.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The trailer got a lot of laughs from the theater I was in when I first saw it.
It got some of the most visceral reactions of any trailer I saw in theaters this year. Like, I saw it multiple times in theaters with the crowd, and without question, that trailer got people talking and turning to their partner or their friend and saying something about it. It got reactions every time.
Some of the reactions were, "Hey, that's bullshit." Some of them
It
were
was
like,
a successful trailer. It was a
Yeah,
very successful trailer.
I'm super cynical, and the first thing I thought of when I saw that trailer was somewhere there was a board meeting where people were like, what do people find creepy? People smiling? It's great. Write the script. We'll
The thing
put it in
is,
production next week.
I will say, though, this is based on a short that the director made, so that's not how this movie was made. It seems like it would have been something just regurgitated, but no, it was based off a short, and he got to make a feature-length version of the film, and it turned out great. So
I wonder how good the short is, because usually the shorts are better.
I haven't seen it, but it's called Laura Hasn't Slept. I have more to say about Smile. I'll get to it later. Some of what I was going to say I just said, but Kris, what is your number 5 pick?
My number 5 is Men.
Men.
Yeah, I almost forgot about this one because this came out way back in like March, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, me and Melody had a great time with Men. It is I found it very creepy, at times kind of off-putting but kind of silly at the same time, and then had some great body horror, sort of cerebral stuff going on at the endings. Lots of stuff that you're just kind of like, what the hell do you think that means? Good stuff to chew over. My favorite Letterboxd review of this movie is, "This is so scary. I'm so glad British people aren't real."
Yeah, Men was one of the movies that I missed when it initially came out, and I just caught it. And if I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to, it didn't work for me on certain levels.
it's not a movie for everyone.
Jessie Buckley, fantastic. I really enjoyed her character. I thought all the flashback scenes with her and her ex, which are a crucial part of the movie.
Some of the more creepy stuff in the movie too.
Yeah, I very much related to Jessie Buckley in those scenes, I'll just say.
Oh,
and
God.
I've lived some of that. But
Sorry for your trauma.
what didn't work for me is more the horror elements of the situation she finds herself in. I thought, what is the name of the actor that plays all the different kind of roles? His name, Kris.
Rory Kinnear.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. It just got a little campy and cheesy for me. We meet he plays this like vicar priest in this town, and we meet him, and he looks like Lucius Malfoy. And he's just, and there's like he has a kid there with like a terrible CGI face. Like it doesn't look like a kid
that
at all.
CGI face was terrible.
It took me out of it quite a bit. And so, and I think I've just seen so many like creepy naked people in movies, and I didn't feel like this was like particularly like creepier than any other creepy naked person I've seen in a movie. And that was kind of the basis of the scares in this movie, was a creepy naked person standing outside a house. And I was just hoping for a little more of that. I was also kind of spoiled on what happens at the end. I think pretty much starting from your Letterboxd review, Chris, so I kind of knew where it was going. And so I knew there was some nasty body horror stuff. Not blaming you. I think it just didn't like phase me too much, and I kind of was just left going, okay, so what happened and what didn't happen? I didn't hate it or anything like that. I wanted to like it more than I did, and I feel like other movies that I might talk about later on my list tackled similar themes in a better way.
And other movies that I'll talk about later on this list do have a creepy naked person, Zach.
Yeah, it wasn't super well received, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think this is a movie for everybody, but I know a lot of people were claiming that this should have been directed by a woman just for this premise alone. I don't know. I think Alex Garland is some more interesting filmmaker than just like a dude who wanted to make a horror film about men, and I think that's not giving him quite enough credit where that's kind of involved. But yeah, I had a good time with it, but yeah, it's definitely not a film for everybody.
Yeah, I think it does some things really well. I love, again, the setup. There's this whole tunnel sequence, which is really eerie and well done, and I wish the film had kind of leaned more towards that kind of vibe than the route it takes later on.
Yeah, for me,
in
that's
the
the most
second half of
like
the movie.
tense scene in the movie.
No, that scene's great. I just wish there was more of that. And again, I think there was other movies this year that tackled similar themes. I haven't seen Resurrection, which I also know is kind of tackles like toxic masculinity and things like that, and it's supposed to be fairly good. And but again, check out Men. Kris really liked it. It does some things really well, and it's certainly again another big notable release that came out this year that has a really cool aesthetic and some really cool performances. So,
what's your number 5, Zach?
My number 5 is Nope, directed by Jordan Peele.
Nope.
And this is the one I'm most eager to rewatch of all the entries on my list. I could have easily reordered this and put this higher. I based my order of my list based on my initial reactions to these films, and I really liked Nope. I just didn't love it upon my first watch. I had a really bad headache when I watched this movie, and that might have impacted my enjoyment of the film, but not too much. This was the best shot horror movie probably I saw all year. There's some just stunning set piece scene after set piece scene. There's some like just beautiful cinematography here.
Yeah, I want this to come up in Oscar time, and I don't think it's going to, but yeah, it definitely deserves it.
It's the most cinematic horror film I saw last year. It really is an event movie. As has been stated by countless reviewers and critics and us on this podcast, it really is Jordan Peele's spin on Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. For me, it was just one of those movies that I immediately wanted to rewatch it after viewing it, just because I felt like I missed some of the subtext. Jordan Peele's all about subtext and themes, and I just in the layers, I missed some of the layers beneath the surface on my first watch. And
there's a lot of different stuff going on in this film.
Yeah. For me, I felt like the tone was a little inconsistent, at least compared to his prior movies. It's not a straight up horror movie like Get Out and Us are. It's definitely a spectacle summer blockbuster creature feature. But it's punctuated by another fantastic score from composer Michael Abels, great performances from Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, Brandon Perea, Stephen Ewan. It's got a fantastic ensemble. It's felt like the biggest horror movie I saw last year as far as just the scale of everything. And I really enjoyed that. If you can see it on a big screen, if it gets any re-release, definitely do. It's really kind of awe-inspiring if you see it on a big screen. Yeah, man, Jordan Peele, just keep doing what you're doing, dude. This was, again, I'm really eager to rewatch this one. And I could easily see this if you have this, like, this could have easily been higher up on my list, and maybe it would be if I rewatched it. There's only one entry on my list that I've seen more than once. And so, yeah, it was just one of those films that I wanted to take another look at it because I wasn't in the best place mentally
Get the
with my
Blu-ray.
head. Yeah.
Because
Get a
there's a lot
Blu-ray.
of night photography in this film, and I bet it doesn't
yeah.
look as great streaming.
Yeah. There was just some like pacing things and story beats that felt a little off to me that I things that I felt
Fries,
could have been
Zach.
explored more. Yeah.
Yeah, Fries,
I
dude.
I love
RIP.
Fries being there. Casey, have you seen this yet?
No, I haven't.
You got to see it, man.
But I've
You
seen
gotta
some
see
of
it.
the. I've seen some like. I watched a YouTube video on the cinematography, and it reminded me of No Country for Old Men, which also got fucked at the Academy
yeah.
Awards for cinematography. Won everything else, just not cinematography.
I'm really curious to see what you think about it, Casey. So you have to get back to me on that. But nope, it's again. I feel like this was the biggest event in horror this year, to me. And Jordan Peele has earned that reputation, and I'm really excited to see what he does next. It's a great film, and I really do hope he gets some award recognition because it is visually just stunning to look at. So, nope, Jordan Peele, that is my number 5.
What's happening? What's happening?
Dana, get the car!
All right. Number 4. Well, okay. My number 4 is, if you were to look at my list, you'd probably pick this out as the most obvious pick of one of mine. Because it kind of hits on all cylinders and just kind of delivers a bunch of stuff I love. It's got some great horror. It's funny. It's genuinely creepy. And that is Deadstream. Love this movie.
Hell yeah, this is a really great pick.
Yeah. Yeah, check this out if you haven't seen it on Shudder. It's basically Blair Witch meets Evil Dead, but hilarious. And with some genuinely scary moments. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, like I can't recommend this enough to
87 minutes.
Yeah, I can't recommend it enough to the people that that listen to this and go, I know if it's a Casey movie, I'll like it. This is a Casey movie right here. Okay. Some of my other stuff might be a little more out of the box than what you might usually consider a Casey movie, but this is one for sure. I definitely think you should see it. And plus it's short. It won't take you that long to watch it. Because motherfuckers need to chill out with 3-hour-long horror movies. That's all I'm saying. I've said it on this show many times.
Immediately after watching this, I was like, Casey, this is your movie, man. You need to see
Yeah,
this
and it was
movie.
dope. I thank you for that recommendation. I absolutely love this. And yeah, it's the only thing preventing it from being higher on my list is what I feel is the caliber of my next 3 choices. In a normal year, this would be number 2, probably.
This is probably like 11 on my like list of horror movies this year. If I had 11, I think I have 10, but this would be 11. And it's great. It is found footage Evil Dead. If that idea sounds good to you, that's basically what this is. So go into it, enjoy it. It's fantastic. The only thing that I think is going to be polarizing for some people is the lead character, and that's not to say it's not a good performance. It's great. It's Joseph Winters, who's the co-director and co-writer.
He's just a fucking asshole. But
most annoying like Twitch YouTuber you could basically imagine, but he's
So
playing
accurate.
it up
So
perfectly.
accurate to being a Twitch and YouTube.
Yeah.
he's playing his role perfectly.
It's just, again, you're spending the whole movie with that character,
Awesome.
and it can be a little grating, but purposefully so. So, he's doing a bang-up job of portraying that character, and it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend this. I do want to revisit this one and see how I feel on a rewatch of it, but I think I gave it 3.5 stars. It was one of my, one of the good surprises that came out last year. I really enjoyed this, and I'm excited to see what else they do next. And they did a segment in VHS 99 this year, which I still need to see. And I heard that was
same.
great, so
I need to watch that. I heard Flying Lotus did a segment too, which has to be fucking weird, man.
really good pick, guys. Deadstream. If you've not seen that, go on Shudder, watch Deadstream. It's a really enjoyable film. and
Yes,
it's
Kris, you
really
must.
short.
You must.
I still have to check this out. Yep. Sounds fun.
It will take you no time. That's the best part.
All right, Kris, what is your number 4 pick on the best horror releases of 2022?
Okay, so my number 4, I'm going with an anthology series from our master Guillermo del Toro. So this is with his namesake on it, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Nice.
Essentially a series of 8 short films released on Netflix, all by different directors. I didn't love all of them, but I thought there was enough innovative stuff in a handful of them to warrant being on this list, just because this was some of the most innovative horror I saw this year. Some stuff that really stuck with me, particularly Autopsy, really, really fucked up concept. And I felt like final execution on that film, really just like, oh God, just some rough stuff at the end of that one. The Murmuring, which is from the director of The Babadook. Really, really chilling ghost stuff. I'm a sucker for ghost movies. This had some really cool, chilling ghost stuff in it. And then The Outside, which I thought was just a lot of fun and has Dan Stevens saying the word aloe glow.
Use your aloe glow.
Buy aloe glow. How can you not?
Your
How can you
aloe
go
glow.
wrong with that? So yeah, I would shout out those probably 3. I like Lot 36 a lot too. It kind of has a disappointing ending, but had a great.
That was
great
my
build
like.
up.
It has a really great setup, and it just ends way too quickly.
It does. It ends too abruptly. Yeah,
Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson though, he's a piece of shit in that.
he is. He's so good though. He's such a fucking great actor.
He
God.
is a really good actor, man.
I gotta point out something real quick, you guys. This series shows that Del Toro can actually come out with things that he announces. So there's a lot of things that I need him to come out with that he's announced. Like the goddamn Haunted Mansion movie, Guillermo. Come on.
We're getting a Haunted Mansion
Or,
movie, but it's not from
It's
Del
not
Toro.
from him.
The
Yeah, I
Mountains of
know.
Madness.
But yeah, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. I've seen 3 of them. I do want to watch the rest of them. I've enjoyed what I've seen. It's a good time.
Which
Guillermo,
have
you
you
were the
not
shit in
seen?
Death Stranding. I'm just saying.
I haven't seen. I've only seen 3. I saw The Outside, I saw Lot 36, and I saw The Viewing
You mean The Autopsy?
and The Autopsy. So I have seen
Okay.
4 of them.
4 of
I
them.
stand corrected.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've seen 4. Those are some of the ones I'd heard the most about going in. But I know Melody, your lovely wife Kris, said Pickman's Model was a fun one. I know the one with the
she really
giant
liked Pickman's
rats.
Model, yeah.
The one with the rats, grave robbers,
Graveyard rats.
graveyard
That was kind of
rats.
fun. It's kind of fun.
That one is fun. The Murmuring, so I will definitely look into those and check them out. I'll watch the rest of them.
Pretty much all
like
of them except for
Guillermo.
Dreams in the Witch's House. You can skip that one.
I still need to get to Midnight Mass though, man. You know?
Oh God, yes.
All right, so I guess it's time for my number 4, the 4th pick on my for my best horror releases of 2022. My number 4 is Smile. As I was saying before,
Danya, smile. Did they play
So
that
this
song
is-
in the movie?
yeah,
Probably.
no, I don't think they did.
They
should've.
might in the
opportunity.
credits.
Maybe. So Smile is directed by Parker Finn. As I was saying earlier, this could easily have been really bad. And it's just one of those ideas that seems goofy on paper, like an obvious, but as I was saying, I remember watching the moviegoers when I saw this trailer in theaters, and everyone had a really strong reaction to it. It just got people talking, for better or worse. Maybe they were laughing at it initially and like, that looks stupid. But then it came out and it was good. It was very good. Like, for what it is, for the concept, it delivered. I didn't expect it to be as well executed as it was. It's a throwback to the Japanese horror renaissance of the early 2000s. And I have a very big fondness for that era. Not all those movies are great, but, we had The Ring, The Grudge, One Missed Call, Pulse, Shudder. I love that era because all those movies had just really fun, wacky concepts, and they ran with it. And it also introduced me to the Japanese horror scene in general. And I sought out the originals. I sought out Ju-on. I watched Ringu. The original One Missed Call, Pulse, Noroi the Curse, which is still one of the best found footage movies I've ever seen and is really creepy, eerie. So it introduced me to a whole new world of horror that I hadn't seen before. And so I just have a big fondness for that genre. This movie specifically really reminds me of The Ring. Sosie Bacon's character goes on a very similar journey to Naomi Watts' character in The Ring, the remake. She is really carries this movie. She's great. Kyle Gallner is good as well as her kind of ex-boyfriend detective. Again, it's a very similar setup to The Ring.
And it follows.
And it follows. You know, you don't find out, you know, it's her kind of going down this path and trying to figure out why this curse started and figure it out before it happens to her. And, you know, you don't get all the answers, but that's sort of, I like that. It's eerie. You don't need all the answers. You find out certain things and you don't find out everything. And it just, the ending worked for me. There are some good visuals. There's some CG that's solid. It's not great, but the very lasting image you see of this entity, I will say, good stuff. And yeah, it was just one of the more entertaining watches I had in a theater this year. I didn't expect a lot going in. I'd heard good things, and I was really pleasantly surprised by this. It just really harkens back to that you know, J-horror era of the early mid 2000s, and I love that era. So this was a good time for me. It's a gift, smile, a watch. I think you guys will enjoy it, and I hope to see more in this series and just more films like this because I like them. So that was, I think I gave it like 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. So that's Smile.
I kick ass for the Lord!
Interesting.
We're on our 3rd round already, guys.
Yeah, we're almost halfway there.
Moving right
Look,
along.
man, my next choice is one that the people that normally see Casey movies probably wouldn't expect if they've seen it. If you haven't seen it, I am begging you to watch this movie because I think it's great. I think it has a lot of things to say. And that is We're All Going to the World's Fair, which we haven't talked about on this show really much at all. But basically, it's about an augmented reality creepypasta kind of thing that people do on YouTube. But the lines about reality are blurred a little bit. And when they're blurred, it starts to reveal things about our main character that we end up not knowing what's real and what's not by the end of the film, even as far as story beats go. I don't want to spoil anything by going too in depth with it. It's just really powerful film. For one, it's powerful because I work with a lot of people that remind me of the main character, like a lot, that live kind of like that same lifestyle and are very similar. And also it's because when you start to look at more what this movie's trying to say, there's a lot of symbolism involved. There's a lot of things about a lot of issues that youth are going through, and not just youth, everybody. But I think seeing it from a younger person's standpoint makes it more powerful.
Absolutely.
I would definitely recommend checking this out. It's genuinely unsettling. And that's like the only film that I can really say out of my 5 picks. Like, this one actually does kind of mess with you a bit because you're thinking about it way more than you would because you have to fill in some story gaps. So I definitely say check it out. I watched it on HBO Max. I'm not sure if it's still on there. But it's a great film.
It's on
still on
Shudder,
there.
I think.
Oh, it's on
Or
Shudder.
No, was it
now?
No, was
Yeah,
it
it's
HBO Max?
Yeah,
HBO
it's still on
Max.
HBO Max.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch, and I thought it was tremendous. Hats off, and the only reason it's not rated higher, and I really kind of toyed with it, is just because I loved my next 2 choices that much more. That's all. Should be the top of a lot of people's lists if they see it.
It's directed by Jane Schoenbrunn, and I definitely read some interviews with her, and it really is about her kind of. It's about trans. You know, she's
Yeah.
a trans woman, and it's really about that. I think kind of feeling like a stranger in your own body, and I think that experience when you're preteen, and it's weird, very chilling coming of age movie, and it's really you're following this teenager's her inner dialogue, and as she's taking part in this YouTube horror challenge and recording her experiences and how her body's supposed to change, and you're seeing these kind of out of body experiences that she's having, and it is really, really a chilling movie and really well done. Really good meditation on just dysphoria and the struggle to find yourself in adolescence.
And like
really
this weird depressive state that too much streaming media puts people in. Like,
I do need to kind of rewatch it again to find more of the kind of nuances and subtext. But there is also good just commentary here on self-discovery in the online video sharing YouTube age, and the weird way you kind of connect with people and find these communities, but also like the strangest of that and who you meet. And it's definitely one I've been thinking about. And yeah, just hats off to Jane, and just really great film. And
Jane managed to make
checking out
probably the single creepiest character that I can think of in cinema, and it's not the main character, and it's not creepy in the way you think. So
it was interesting because I didn't find him actively creepy, but then by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, like what was this person's motivation?
Right?
You know,
because I'm of the school that he's completely lying about everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's lying to himself about things.
Yeah, and
without spoiling anything, you know.
Yeah.
It was interesting though. I wasn't like actively creeped out by him because I didn't know where he was coming from, but there's a lot of commentary on that and up to your interpretation, which is I think cool about this movie.
Yeah, Kris, you got to see this shit, man. You got to see this shit.
Yeah, I want to check this out.
Movie.
This was talked about on Fighting in the War Room's like top movies of the year, not just horror movies, but top movies. So
nice.
It's really well executed, man. We're all going to the World's Fair. It's not going to be for everybody. It is a very moody. It's short. It's like 86 minutes, but it feels a little longer than that because it's not like a super active movie.
There's a lot of contemplative scenes that linger a bit.
Yeah,
but in a good way.
It's a slow 86 minutes. So I will say that if you're looking at the runtime and going, oh, this is going to be breezy. It's not a breezy watch. It's a heavy movie.
Yeah.
But it's a really great movie. So definitely check that out. We're all going to the World's Fair.
Cannot recommend it.
We are. Well, yay.
Kris, what is your number 3 best horror releases of 2022?
My number 3 is Barbarian.
Nice.
Ooh.
One of the most fun movies I saw in the theater this year. It's such a great experience because everybody pretty much who saw the trailer for this was not spoiled at all. So this is a great example of not knowing anything and being in a theater and discovering things along the way with the audience and being kind of delighted by every turn that a movie takes. Really great, really funny. Justin Long, such a great performance.
Yes.
Such an asshole.
Such a great stand-up performance.
One of the funniest performances of the year.
Yeah, it almost feels like 3 movies in one that are meshed together so great and such a great way. I don't have a lot to talk about it other than that it was just so much fun.
We'll be talking about it again.
I can't wait to see it again because I feel like it's gonna appreciating knowing where it's gonna go I think will be fun. So
yeah, because then we can spot clues.
Yeah, it's also one of those movies that like if you have not seen it yet, we really don't want to spoil it because
just fucking watch it. Let's put it that way. Yes,
but we will be talking about it more in this episode.
Maybe 2 more times. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're on the second to last round already. So, we're not. I have to get my number 3. I have to get my number 3. This guy right here.
Cheater.
Birthday boy. Okay. Yeah, my number 3 is The Black Phone. So
nice. I enjoyed this movie. It did not make my list, but this was a strong contender for number 6 for me.
Yeah, so The Black Phone, directed by Scott Derrickson and co-written by him and C. Robert Cargill. And this is based on a 2004 short by Joe Hill. And speaking of Joe Hill, this very much feels like a Stephen King movie because it's channeling Stand By Me and It and the Monster Squad, and it mixes that with like the supernatural, conceit of Frequency. And this movie just worked for me. It just really clicked for me. It's just one of those movies that I love the Monster Squad. I love, a ragtag group of kids, and I love the cast of this movie. Mason Thames, this really endearing lead character, just a scrappy kid playing Finney. He's trying to fit in at school, find out who he is, that age. Madeline McGraw, who plays his sister Gwen, one of my favorite performances last year, bar none, horror genre, any genre. I thought she was phenomenal in this movie. She goes from like gut busting, profanity laced dialogue to really intense emotional scenes, and she just knocks it out of the
These
park.
kids could have been
in this movie.
horribly annoying, and they were not. They were just excellent in everything they did.
Honestly, I'm not hyperbole. She really deserves to be nominated for that performance. She's so good in that movie, and I cannot say enough kind things about that. She deserves award recognition for that performance.
Yeah.
So I just thought the dialogue was so well scripted in this film. The way it oscillates between humor and tension, I thought was really interesting. It might not work for everybody. It worked for me. It goes from a scene with a big lab, like I was saying, to immediately transitioning to something where Finney is trapped in this basement, a serial killer's basement, and trying to find his way out. And you get just an intense scene with Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke is great as the grabber. If I had a critique, I wanted more scenes with him and what he was doing. You don't really find out enough about his motivation. Part of that, I like the mystery, but I also felt like, I don't know if there was extra scenes they filmed, but they just could have explored it a bit more. Like, give me like 1 or 2 more scenes.
If you read the short, I don't think so.
Yeah, but they could have expanded upon that.
Yeah.
And if I have a criticism, I just wanted to see more, just hints of what he's done to his victims. But besides all that, the rest of the movie still just worked so well for me.
It's a very satisfying movie.
Yeah. Jeremy Davies, equally chilling kind of villain as the alcoholic father of Gwen and Finney. And just some really heavy freaking scenes, dude. And
my complaint is that he got off too easy in this movie. Honestly.
He does. He does.
Yeah. That's like sort of the other horror element of this movie.
I also took it as the kids going, "We have your number and we can easily report you," and like just sort of like we're in charge, sort of kind of thing. But I really love Finn's journey in this movie. I think the conceit of using a phone to communicate with the grabber's past victims was super cool, and I love how they kind of portrayed that in different ways, because some of these ghosts, we get flashbacks, full flashback scenes. Others, we just see Finney sees glimpses of them in the room with him, and others are in the room with him talking to him and helping him try and find ways and point to things. I just thought that was so clever. And again, felt very Stephen King. I really just loved that idea, and I thought it was so well done.
Made it feel like a bigger world that the movie was taking place in, which is cool.
Again, the climax is a little maybe quicker than it needed to be as far as Finney's escape, stuff like that. I think it could have been a little more drawn out and dramatic. But I don't know, it just works so well for me. I love the note they end on here. It was one of my favorite watches. I gave it a very high, like 4.5 star rating, which may be a bit high, but again, I just really enjoyed this movie, and I encourage you to seek it out. It's not like super violent or gory. It's really more the connotation and implication of everything that's going on. If you like it, if you like Stephen King's Stand By Me, The Monster Squad, you'll.
This easily could have been PG-13 if that little girl didn't say fuck so much. Yeah.
Was it rated R? I guess it was.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah. So The Black Phone, really, really enjoyed it. Give it a watch. All right, guys, we are on the second to last round here. Casey, what is your number 2 pick, best horror release of 2022?
Okay, so my number 2 pick, my gosh, it's Barbarian, which we already talked about, but I love this movie. I think it says a lot that we've got 2 people with grad degrees and 1 person with an undergraduate degree in filmmaking or specifically screenwriting. And none of us saw where a lot of the twists and turns in this movie were coming from and where we were going. And we were along for the ride the whole time. Absolutely great movie. I loved it. I just have recommended it to so many people, but I don't want to say too much because I think not knowing anything going in is the way to see this movie. I see some people like, oh, I heard everyone talk about Barbarian, so I read the plot on Wikipedia. What the fuck?
Oh, God.
No. Watch the movie.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
I mean, if it's a movie that's this well received that you know you're going to probably watch, don't do that. Like, I've done that before, but on things that I'm like, I'm never going to watch this movie, probably. And I just want to know what's going to happen.
So, that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
this movie. So many good movies came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's in probably all of our top fives. I don't know if it's in Zach's yet, but I think it probably is.
Oh, it is.
Okay, so it's like, come on, guys, trust us. When we say don't look up something, just see a movie, we're doing it for your benefit. We don't make any money off of this. We're just trying to tell you what the best experience film viewing wise you can possibly have in this case is. Okay, just watch it. It's great. Justin Long, just a great piece of garbage in this movie. Tremendous.
Yes.
Zach, I'm going to kick it over to Kris, who's going to have something different than Barbarian because he's already mentioned Barbarian.
It's true. So my number 2 is Bones and All.
Ooh,
Oh,
nice.
okay. I thought that
Yeah,
was going
I
to be
know.
your number 1.
I threw you for a loop, Zach.
You
Me
tricked
too,
me,
because
you
I totally
dirty
thought that
dog.
was your number
I
one
did.
also, actually. Yeah.
I did, because here's the thing. Bones and All is probably my favorite movie of the year. It's not like I can't like go into this being like it's the best horror movie of the year because it's primarily a romantic drama that just happens to be about cannibals, essentially. But it's a fucking fantastic movie. Luca Guadagnino off of the Suspiria remake and Call Me by Your Name. Really, like, it's basically like those two movies smushed together. It's kind of how I thought about it going into it, and it's very apt. But also, apparently, this is based on a YA novel, which I didn't know about. But I'm wondering if the novel is as gnarly as the movie, because this movie does get really, really gnarly. People get eaten, and it is graphic.
Some young adult books are like that. Yeah.
I feel so desensitized after watching like an hour and 40 minutes of Terrifier 2, so I feel like I could sit through anything at this point.
There's also a terrifying Mark Rylance in this movie. Yeah, it never feels like graphic in the sense of exploitative. It always feels the violence in this movie, I feel like it's maybe even a little harder because of how emotional a lot of it is. But yeah, Mark Rylance is also in this as a terrifying character who comes back a couple times in the movie and will scare the shit out of you. So for that alone, it definitely deserves to be on my list. But there's another movie that is number 1 that is definitely deserving more of that sort of horror title. But definitely a movie I recommend to anybody semi-curious. Is Bones and All.
Dude.
Kris, do you know The Last of Us?
I know of The Last of Us.
Because I just feel
I've
like
heard,
this
I've
has...
heard about the comparisons.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't tell him too much about The Last of Us because he's gonna watch that HBO series, so we cannot tell him too much.
You're not gonna watch that, dude? It looks great.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it.
It's gonna be good.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say, if you like this, seems like it has a similar feel to me. It's not cannibals, but it's it's a zombie-ish thing, but gnarlier. And so it's a really, really emotional story, and I'm very excited for the show.
Zombie
Yeah, I mean,
mushrooms.
definitely Guadagnino
Zombie
is
mushrooms.
Guadagnino is a big part of why I like this. I'll follow this man anywhere. His stories are so beautifully told, and this is probably has some of the most beautiful cinematography of the year. There's obviously metaphors in this of queer identity and the AIDS crisis of the 1980s, which is set in. So that's all kind of there, but never like in your face, really. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you'd like Last of Us, so definitely look out for the show. I would tell you to play the game, but you don't have a console, but you would enjoy the game.
The show will cover it. Don't worry.
Can you play The Last of Us on Nintendo 64?
Absolutely not.
That'd be awesome, but no.
Then I'm out of
I would love to
No,
play
it
like a
wouldn't, Zach.
remake.
How much fucking fog there would be on those levels, Zach? My God.
I did get a Game Shark for Christmas, so
That's rad.
Lets you play imports.
I would love to play like a Super Nintendo remake of The Last of Us. Just throwing that out there. Someone might have made that already. I don't know. Okay. My number 2 pick, best horror release of 2022. Out There Halloween mega tape.
Blasphemy.
damn it. This probably should have been my number 5.
It's okay, Chris.
I messed up.
I highly encourage everyone to check out our review of this film to get our entire thoughts. We did a very long, maybe one of the longest reviews we've ever done on the show in October. Check out that episode. We go very much into detail about this movie. But I'll just read my Letterboxd review really quickly for you because it's pretty good. So, Out There Halloween Megatape is a brilliant follow-up to WNUF Halloween Special that builds upon everything that works so well in the original and improves upon it tenfold. It is a lovingly crafted spoof of 90s television featuring an ingenious parody of daytime talk shows of the era with a fantastic performance from Melissa LaMartina as Ivy Sparks and a hilarious character of late-night paranormal specials. The commercials interspersed throughout the tape are even better this time, with spot-on imitations of everything from 90s snack food ads and low-budget infomercials to mock B-movie creature feature TV trailers. I cannot say enough good things about Out There Halloween Megatape. Hats off to Chris LaMartina, Melissa LaMartina, the rest of their kick-ass team. You guys absolutely crushed this. One of my favorite releases of the year and a must-play at every Halloween party this season and beyond. So that was my Letterboxd review. I stand by everything I wrote there. Chris, my friend, Chris LaMartina, this ruled. This was one of my favorite watches. This is the only movie on my list that I've seen twice. It's just a comfort watch. Again, I look at these movies, as Chris has talked about in interviews, and I talked about in the last episode when we reviewed it. These are like experiences that he's trying to create, and it really does feel like a horror experience. It feels like putting in an old tape from 97 or 96 or whatever, and looking at old ads that are just perfect recreations of Doritos commercials and Super Soaker ads and quench the thirst Gatorade. It's just feels so 90s in all the right ways. The talk show in this film that's I didn't grow up on Ricky Lake, but it's clearly a spot on imitation of that and hilarious. And I saw plenty of Jerry Springer, which it isn't far from. The paranormal
little Jenny
shows
Jones. I'd say Jenny Jones is the most, like Jenny and Ricky combined is my verdict there. Yeah.
The paranormal shows that it's aping. It's just so great. I could say so many things about this that I know Casey's going to get into it later, but it's just a wonderful movie. If you've not seen these films, watch WNUF Halloween Special. Watch Out There Halloween Megatape. Again, they're very specific, tailored experiences. They're not going to be for everybody. If you don't have nostalgia for those eras and love like commercials from that time and love the TV that was on at that time, it's probably not going to resonate with you in the same way.
But if you're a normal person, it will become yearly viewing for you. Yeah. Both of them.
It's the perfect thing to throw on at a Halloween party for ambiance and as far as just bringing you back in time, especially for us millennials and Gen Xers, and I think even Gen Zers would like this movie. So give it a watch. Out There Halloween Megatape, one of my favorite movies last year.
Well, Zach, you know what? It was one of your favorites, but it is my favorite, my number one movie of 2022 is the Out There Halloween Megatape, a movie that our good friend Kevin forgot was even out in 2022. I had to remind him. He said the only movie he watched in 2022 was Hellraiser. That was a new movie. Yeah.
That's the only one he watched?
No, the only new horror movie that he watched.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude, you saw Halloween Out There Megatape. You were there with us when we bought the film from the legendary Chris LaMartina himself. Yes. All of us did. We were pretty stoked, okay? This was like a communal experience for the bros here because we were at a convention. We went as fast as we could to the table to get our copies of this so they wouldn't run out.
We made a beeline over there.
And we got our copies and we watched our copies.
My only regret is that I did not pick up one of Melissa LaMartina's like Shocktail Hour DVDs that she was selling as well, because I just was so focused on Kris.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we should have done that.
But shout out to Aurora Borealis, her Elvira character, fantastic,
tremendous character.
Yeah,
dude, Zach said pretty much everything I would say about this film. Except that I was more conscious while the things that this movie parodies were actually on, because I'm a lot older than Zach. So I can double verify their accuracy. And plus, if Chris LaMartina says that he was inspired by Mysteries from Beyond the Other Dominion, like we talked about in our review episode, he's my dude, man. Fist bump. Psycho Sid style. Right there, brother. Great movie. Thank you for this film. Okay. This is the thing. Like, we can talk about loving films. This isn't just like, I love your movie. This is like, thank you for making this movie. This is going to be a yearly part of me for the foreseeable future, maybe for the rest of my life. Okay. Because that's what WNUF was. And that's what this is going to be. So, all right. Thank you for this film. The best film of 2022, in my opinion. Chris, I would love to hear your pick.
Evil dies tonight!
Number 1, best horror release of 2022, Chris.
So my number one, the reason I put this in front of Bones and All is not necessarily because I like it as more of a movie, but because it was the scariest movie that I watched. It's the movie that scared me the most, and it's Nope.
Yeah.
I was hoping you were going to say
Bringing back the Nope.
Morbius.
Oh man, it's tough because I don't want to spoil stuff for this because Casey hasn't seen this yet.
I know. That's my bad.
God, but I'll just say that this like brought shit out of me that is like primal fears of like weather. If you grew up in like middle America and were afraid of tornadoes like I was as a child, this will like bring out those childhood fears of you again. Fear of animals, particularly animals you should not be keeping as pets, multiple different kinds, and just the fear of the unknown as well. Fear of
Absolutely.
what could be lurking out there beyond those clouds. And just shout out to Daniel Kaluuya, who has I think it's one of the best performances of the year, and most of it is with his eyes.
He's so good, dude.
Yeah,
He's so good.
Tremendous actor.
Yeah. Yeah,
I undersold. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
I was just saying, the fact that this movie is like harkening back not just to Jaws, but Jurassic Park. There's a little bit of Tremors in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so entertaining, but also like super intelligent as well. So
I undersold how creepy this movie is. That it's very eerie. It's scary.
Damn
But,
right, you
The Shining
undersold
as
it.
well.
You gave it like number 7 on your list or something, Zach.
It was 5, dude. I said it could be easily higher on this list, but I needed to rewatch it. It was just of the 5 on this list, I had stronger reactions to the other 4 after seeing them.
Yeah.
It's not that I didn't think this was the best shot film I saw last year. Horror movie for sure. So yeah, I agree with everything you say, Chris. This is a scary movie. It's an event. It's a spectacle. See it on as big of a TV as you can.
yeah, I
Nope.
can't.
It's great.
I need to get the Blu-ray for this because, like I said, a lot of night photography in this, and a lot of stuff that you're like, wait, did I just see that in the
That's why
background?
we need to get this guy on the 4K train so you can see it in HDR, Chris.
Yeah,
And
Yes.
shout out to the experience they had at Horror Nights last year, where they set up the God, what is the name of the town in the movie?
Oh, it's still there. It's a permanent part of the tour now.
I know. What is the name of the town? I'm totally drawing a blank here, guys. Help me out. Edit. What is the name? Jupiter's Claim. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to the Jupiter's Claim experience at Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights that I got to walk through. One of the coolest things I did last year. It was so dope. They had like the Starlight Express thing. Was that what it's called? Starlight Express?
Starlight Express is the fucking
It's not Starlight
Broadway
Express.
show where they're on roller skates, dude.
The Star Lasso experience. That's what I thought. Shout out to Starlight Express. But this is the Star Lasso experience. The set is just as cool as you see in the movie. We had the giant like cowboy inflatable there. It was really eerie. So yeah, shout out to that recreation and that set in that movie. And yeah, guys, watch Nope. It rules.
Visit it on the Universal Studios tour, which I always recommend because some people go to Universal and they skip the tour. And I'm here to say those people are horrible people. You don't see Jaws, you're fucking up.
So, my number 1 pick on the best horror releases of
Morbius.
2022. I think I
Morbius.
already gave it away based on process of elimination, but it is Barbarian.
Oh, not Morbius. Fuck.
That round of applause is for you, Zach Kreger.
Great movie.
Yes, dude, you rule. As a big fan of Whitest Kids You Know, I could not be more psyched for you, my friend. This to me
Definitely
is just
the best Whitest Kid You Know film.
This is just the perfect embodiment, I think, of what modern horror should be. And I love the genesis of this movie because this was not like, he did not start this to like write a horror movie. He started it as a writing exercise. So Zach Kreger did tons of interviews and podcasts about Barbarian. And I just took a snippet out from an interview he did with Creative Screenwriting. But he said that, he'd read a book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker. This is an exact quote here, who's a security consultant. And he says, it's a good book, but a large part of it is encouraging women to pay closer attention to that subconscious voice that we're all equipped with and identify threat. Women override the subconscious red flags that pop up so they can be nice and not have friction in day-to-day interactions. This can sometimes be at their peril. That's the premise of the book. And he says, it started out as an exercise of writing for me, alone in my garage, a scene where I could have a woman enter a situation where as many of those red flags could go up as possible. And we don't know if it's a real threat or if she's just being paranoid. I just wanted to load a scenario with some things a guy would ignore, but a woman would not. That was the birth of the movie. So, yeah, you did a good job, Zach. You did a really good job, my friend.
Yeah.
This is, again, one of my favorite theater-going experiences last year. It is brimming with biting commentary. The way it tackles the very hot topic of, toxic masculinity and gaslighting and male privilege. And, I think it did stuff that men tried to tackle better. And
you're probably not wrong.
He was so shrewd with how he crafted this movie and really upends the viewer's expectations. And it's funny because he talks about in these interviews how that like wasn't necessarily his plan. He just like started writing, got to a certain point where he was like, he didn't know where to go, but he didn't want to do the obvious because he could have written this situation that this movie starts off one way and it could easily be just like you're with a stranger you don't know and things take a turn because that stranger has ulterior motives, but it goes in a completely wildly different direction because he didn't want to do the obvious. And, there's so many wonderful moments in this movie that you like hit a point and you're like, are we going to get hit like a credit crawl here? It's like, what's going on? And then it goes in a completely different direction and it's like hilarious. And then the movie takes another direction. I had so much fun watching this movie. It was one of my favorite experiences last year. I do not want to reveal anything else, but Georgina Campbell, fantastic final
Tremendous
girl, actor. Bill Skarsgård is great in his role here.
Yeah.
Justin Long, as has been said many times, one of the funniest performances of 2022. He's phenomenal in this. See Barbarian, guys. It was my favorite horror release of last year.
And best end credit song of the year.
Yeah,
probably.
I really cannot wait to see what Zach Kreger does next, dude. You knocked it out of the park, my friend. Yeah,
best end credits song. It beats when Event Horizon ended with Funky Shit by Prodigy for some reason.
Yeah. Okay, so we're at the portion of the show where I'm going to give shout outs. So does anyone want to give some shout outs? I'm going to give the rest of my top 10. If anyone else wants to before me, by all means.
I want to give a shout out to my homies at Tommy Boy Records. Release the Hounds.
Kris, do you have any shout outs you want to give?
Scream almost made my list just because I did really enjoy that this year. I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since the theater. Really excited about the Scream 6 solid trailer, and I'm glad they're like kind of moving in at least somewhat of a different direction with this next one, because that was the only thing my pet peeves with this previous one was there was some revisiting of stuff from the first film that I didn't think was necessary at all, but had a lot of fun with that movie. So
are they calling it Scream 6 and not, like 5 Cream plus?
I think it's Scream 6 because it's in the
Okay,
title. They like have the little thing come down to show the 6. So I think it's going to be officially Scream 6.
Not Scream, Stabby, Stab.
Scream Fast and Furious or Scream.
Yeah.
Too Scream, Too Furious.
Any other shout outs you want to give?
Well, I forgot to put out there on my list. So I fucked up. It should have been my number 5, but
it's okay.
At least I got to talk about it.
Look at all the shit we have next year, guys.
At least it's representative.
Right. Well, this year we have Renfield. We have Evil Dead Rises.
They look
we
both
have Winnie the
fantastic.
Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Don't get too excited, Casey. You know what happened this past year.
I know those were
You got excited about
know.
shit, and then it didn't end up delivering.
This is why I don't get excited about shit. Like, it just disappoints me every time. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. If you disappoint me, this audience is gonna know.
Eeyore's gonna mess some people up. My shout outs. So my number 6, which I really wanted to put in my number 5, but I just could not knock anything that was in my 5 out. Sissy. This is one of the last. I watched this last month. It was like the first movie I put on to catch up. I hadn't heard like a ton about it, but I heard some good things, and I was really surprised by this movie. If you enjoyed X or Bodies, this was along the same lines, but I enjoyed it more than both of those. And those are
another shout out to X. I can't believe that didn't make our list.
It's in my top 10. But this movie, if you like a good revenge slasher, this is a movie that really does gore right. It gets way gnarlier than I expected it to, but it's over the top, but in a fun way. And that's what I love, like slasher movies like this. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it's just a great kind of take on influencer culture. A really fantastic performance from Aisha D in the kind of titular role there. And just really, really enjoyed it. So check out Sissy. I cannot recommend that one enough. One of my favorite watches this year. Go on Shudder. Watch it tonight. It's not like super long. I had a really great time with that movie. Co-directed by Hannah Barlow and Kane Sens. Really, I wanted to put it in my top 5. I really dug it. So that is Sissy. Number 7, The Menu. This is one of my favorite movie going experience.
Yeah.
I've said that a lot. This was one of my favorite movies last year, and it's been interesting. My parents just watched it, and they were not as into it. And I've seen a couple people like the humor just did not hit for them, and like I laughed more at this movie than anything else last year. And so it's been really interesting to see the kind of. I've heard more people that dug it than didn't dig it, but like it's just not enough of a horror film for me to put it on any higher because it really is more of just a dark comedy.
It might be like I think it's kind of a specifically millennial Gen Z era movie.
It is. My brother and my sister-in-law haven't seen it yet, and I'm really curious to see what they think. But I dug it. I thought it was hilarious. It was so funny. I also
for nothing
did see
else
it,
than the line of student loans.
Yeah.
Sorry,
God,
you're
it was so
dying.
good. It was so good. Casey, check this out. I'm curious to see what you think about it.
I refuse. No, I was about to watch it. I just didn't.
Yeah,
I had it
I'm very curious to see what you think about it. Yeah,
yeah.
I think you'd like it. I saw it in a theater where like every line just waves of laughter. Every line people were digging, and so watching it at home, I definitely don't laugh the same way. So it's a very different experience. So. I still think I would have enjoyed it and found it funny, but I don't know if I'd feel the same way as because I saw it in theater. So I do want to rewatch it, but I mean I dug the hell out of it. So The Menu is my number 7. 8 is X. Again, Ty West. You did some work this year, my friend. You crafted 2 pretty great movies for what they are, and X. If you told me that X wouldn't be in my top 5 after seeing it earlier this year, I would have been surprised because it's really well crafted slasher movie, and maybe it's just recency bias that I have like Sissy higher, but thinking back, I don't know. I really appreciate Sissy. Clearly had a lower budget, and I just really appreciate what they did with it. But X is great, man. It's a really good time. It has a really gnarly gator sequence, and just the cast is great, and it was a fun movie, man. And it just looks great, and yeah. Check out X and check out Pearl. Mia Goth, one of the best genre performances of the year in that movie for sure. I didn't like it as much as X because it's a prequel. You know where it's going. There aren't really too many surprises, but again, if you want to see just a fantastic performance, check out Mia Goth and Pearl. My number 9 was Prey.
Oh, Prey was so good.
Yeah, more of Prey. Like that was. They finally a great Predator movie, and I didn't see the Shane Black one.
It sucked.
And
it's not good.
Yeah, it's too bad because I love Shane Black and Fred Decker.
And it's not good.
I really wanted to. I'm still gonna check it out, but yeah, I haven't heard great things about it, unfortunately. So, but number 10 is We're All Going to the World's Fair. As Casey was saying, watch that movie. It's great. If I was gonna throw anything else out there, The Innocents, one of the most unsettling movies I watched this year. It's just one of those movies that's so kind of unpleasant just because you're just watching these kids do stupid bad things, especially this one kid. and these other kids are just like not standing up to him, and he has these like abilities, and it's unpleasant, you know, but it's so well made. So if you want to see something really kind of just unsettling and kind of a slow burn but gnarly, check out The Innocents. But yeah, those are there's so many great horror movies I saw this year. I'm not going to name everything, but yeah, it was just a really great year for horror movies, and I'm really excited to see what happens this year. But we are not done, because we asked you guys what your favorite horror releases were of 2022, and I got some responses. Thank you to everyone that responded on Instagram. I really appreciate it. So I'm just going to read through those.
Except for you,
right
Byron.
now.
Shut the fuck up, Byron.
So I'm going to start out with my buddy Kevin here, Elysian Lark on Instagram. He shouted out Pearl. Again, really, really great performance from Mia Goth. She is unreal in that movie. So good. His lovely wife Shayna AW Dimples 89 on Instagram said Nope/Scream. So we got a Scream and a Nope shout out there, Kris. My lovely manager Sarita MW on Instagram said Yule Log, and I didn't realize what this was initially, but I believe it is the Adult Swim Yule Log, which I have not seen this movie, but I've heard really interesting things about it. Yeah,
it's from the guy who made Too Many Cooks.
It is. So I do want to check it out because I love Too Many Cooks. Casey, you know a little more about it, don't you?
Yeah, it starts off as a Yule log, and they made it a backdoor slasher movie, and no one was the wiser until it came out. It was great.
I thought it was just like a little 15-minute short or something, but no, it's like a full-length 90-minute horror movie apparently. So I do need to watch that. It sounds like a really good time. I had no idea it was that long. So really cool pick, Saritha. We shout out my buddy Brockorama here. He said Barbarian, and he actually wrote a response. So I want to read what he wrote. Mm-hmm. But he wrote, seeing Barbarian opening weekend in a packed theater people was one of my all-time top horror movie moments this year. That movie was a fun surprise, and the audience ate up every second.
Nice.
I concur, Brock. I had the exact same experience. Love you, Barbarian. Great pick. Xandersaurus 619, old friend of mine. He said Smile. Again, I really enjoyed Smile.
Yeah, I'm the only one that really enjoyed Smile because it was on. No, wait, it was on your list too, Zach, right?
Mine was. It was higher on my list, I think.
Okay, I guess you enjoyed it more than I did.
Yeah, Smile, big surprise for me this year. Ryan M Clay 90, what's up, Ryan? He said X. X is great.
Nice,
great. Again, I was surprised it wasn't in my top 5, but so much other stuff came out this year. It was a really good year. And then Kelly Krish, another one of my lovely coworkers, said Barbarian. Barbarian, man. Barbarian rules. What can I say? So those were your top horror releases of 2022. Thank you so much to everyone.
Wait, none of my dirtball friends answered on Twitter? What the fuck?
No, we didn't get any responses on Twitter except Byron, who said Insidious 43, I think is what he said.
Yeah, he's Insidious, not Insidious. Yeah.
So he joked about it. So thanks, Byron, for that.
No, I think he's really that dumb, bro.
I wish there were more Insidious movies.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know about 42 of them, but
I don't think he's even seen any of them. You know what Byron's number one horror movie of 2022 was? The Exorcist, because he saw it for the first time this year. Mic drop. There we go.
So did Melody.
All right, let's plug our social medias because we're getting at an hour 20 almost here. You can find us at AMP Horror on Twitter and Instagram. Please follow us on Instagram, especially. That is the new central hub on Instagram. I just turned us into a professional account, so we're officially pros. We're officially pros. Follow us on Letterboxd too at A Miserable Pod. Subscribe to us on YouTube also at AMP Horror. You got to do at AMP Horror in the Google bar, or just look up Another Miserable Podcast. So subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Please. Kris, where can they find you on the social media?
I'm on the social medias at Kris Pistol. Kris with a K and Pistol with an E.
Sweet.
Or ChristopherPistol.com.
I'm at Lucha Gringo, where Twitter, Letterboxd, PSN. At Lucha Gringo, all one word, except no imitations. Follow me, and if it doesn't seem like you're just a spam account, I'll follow you back. Some Doctor Who podcast followed me, and I'm like, I've never spoken about Doctor Who once. I don't think you're a real follower.
It wasn't me, I swear.
No, I looked. I'm like, wait, did Kris get another podcast? And I'm like, no.
I would love
this
to be
is
on a
Kris.
Doctor Who podcast. I just don't have enough friends who watch Doctor Who.
If I had the time, I would join you on that ride, Kris, and you can just make me watch Doctor Who. But I don't know if I have enough time to do that.
That's
right
my
now.
goal for 2023 is to do a Doctor Who episode for this podcast. So get ready, boys.
Okay. You can follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Earth2Zach, Earth the number 2 Zach Z-A-K. I'm on Twitter as well, but follow me on Instagram or Letterboxd. Those are places I'm more active on. And yeah, stay tuned. You know, guys, we're gonna have a good year. We definitely want to do more retrospective stuff. That was something we kind of shifted away from towards the latter half of 2022. So definitely kind of thinking of restructuring things, maybe shifting the format a little bit, because we love talking about older movies. We didn't get to do that nearly enough last year. Not that we won't do newer releases necessarily, but I don't know. Want to mix things up a little bit. So stay tuned for that. Maybe have a commentary coming up soon. Maybe. Probably. So look forward to all that. I hope 2023 is awesome to all you guys. Thank you so much for everyone that tuned in last year and continues to support us. We really, really appreciate it. You are what keeps us going. So please tell your friends about us. Continue to tune in. And we'll see you this year. Take care.
Happy New Year. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.